It's so funny because you hear so much stuff about millennials being like total wusses and living in their parents' basements for so long and not being financially independent, but first and foremost, like, we are the way we are because of the society that's structured around us. It's not a phenomenon that's completely like an independent variable, but I think we're definitely way more creative. I think we're looking for new types of career opportunities. I think we're more comfortable with freelance for sure.
I think our generation like has the freedom to do what they want, if that makes any sense. Like, I think like our parents couldn't just like, you know, be like, oh, like I want to be a makeup artist without getting all this flack from their parents saying like, well, you can't make money, or you know, you need to provide for a family. I think that's like less of a concern for our generation. So I think in a way it kind of just like opens everything up. I think we're also very career focused too. So I think that whole like aspect of, you know, oh, you're done school, now you get married and you have a baby and you're a mom, and then, you know, it's like, it's just, that's not the priority for the majority of people our age anymore.
I think we've been sort of described as really self-absorbed and like stuck in our cell phones. I'm not 100% sure if that's completely accurate. I don't know if maybe a bit younger than me is doing that, because I'm 24, and maybe like 14-year-olds are doing that a lot. I'm not really sure because I'm not really exposed to, I don't know, 14-year-olds. But yeah, we're definitely attention seeking as a whole. It's always like, me, look what I'm doing, look what I'm eating, look who I'm hanging out with, look what I just did. And I think that also breeds a lot of anxiety, because you see other people doing it, and then you feel like you're missing out and that your life is boring, so then you push harder to show that you're actually having a good time. So is anybody really having a good time, or are they pretending to have a better time than they're actually having? Which is crazy and weird to think about.
I say that we count too much on the technology that's given to us. I'm not saying that it's bad. No, it's not. I'm not saying technology is bad. It's really great, but it's just that we're counting so much on it that we're forgetting about the other things.
What I look for in a job is to be challenged. I think it's really important to be working somewhere where you are pushed to your absolute limit and that you're driven to be your very best. I think ideal work conditions is something structured. So, you know, you come in a certain hour, you leave a certain hour, you have this, you have that.
My ideal work conditions would be a stable 7 to 5, 9 to 5 job, but in my field it doesn't really allow that. I'm usually working to other people's schedules of when they book and when they call, so it's not ideal for me.
Well, what I look for in a job is usually stability, which is hilarious because why am I a dancer? It's probably the least stable field in all arts. Well, no, all arts are pretty unstable, but dance is exceptionally unstable. It's a lot of freelance, so anything that's like a longer contract that has you working for an extended period of time is a lifesaver and very hard to come by.
I think eventually down the road, I think that'll change. Like, I think I'll want something that's a little bit more stable, but because I've been in school for like so long and I've never just like done something fun or done something I've wanted to do, I think it would be most beneficial for me to just kind of explore and travel and meet new people. And so I think that's a big part of what I'm looking for. Flexibility is, you know, important, but I think if you love what you do, it doesn't really matter. You know, like, you'll put aside other things to make it work, right? And I've always had to kind of schedule things around each other, so I'm pretty flexible in that sense.
What I look for is, like, first is the people that you work with. You know, that's like really important in any job, right? You want to be comfortable, you want to come to work every day, feeling that like you're working with the right people, and that's one of the main things that I look for.
it's something as small as like wearing whatever you want, or sitting in a chair that's like a bouncy ball or something, or I don't know of any places like that, but I feel like there are that have like interesting spaces to take breaks in, because I think a lot of people are losing their minds in a gray cubicle in their gray suit staring at a gray screen. So I think that the workplace is kind of changing and adapting to, you know, what makes people happy and how they can have successful, hardworking, happy employees, because like a happy employee is a productive employee. So I don't know what is going on, but I think that companies are aware that the workplace kind of needs to change.
They shouldn't have to change. They should still be strict on us, but they should be more flexible, I find.
If you want to learn, like, give us the tools, but like make us have to seek them out. Like, make us work for it.
I think especially for our generation, but always we need to be adapting the way that we pass on our lessons, and that we train people for their careers or for anything in life for that matter. I think technology makes things incredibly different these days, just because people like to say we have everything at our fingertips, but just the access to information doesn't necessarily equate with the proper use of it, and it's hard for us to distinguish between like what the adequate use of research is these days, because we have so much information, but not all of it's always relevant to what we need.
As a singer, my body is my instrument. Like, I was taught that very young. So when I'm prepping for a show, there are certain things I don't do. Like, I don't smoke, I don't drink as much. I avoid pop, I don't drink it, I don't have any dairy, I don't have any nuts. I avoid cold things. Like, there's a certain amount of steps that I know I have to take from the training I've had from choir. But my body itself, like, I remember there was a show I did in it must have been a few months ago, but it was on a Friday, and I felt like I could have been getting sick on Wednesday, so I took both Wednesday and Thursday off work, which, as someone who works in a corporate job, you shouldn't do, because like, you're not technically sick, but like, to me, I know how important my body is, and like, if my body isn't up to the standard, I won't be able to sing, and then what's the whole point? I'm not going to be able to do what I find I need to do.
My well-being at work is extremely important to me, considering I'm there 8 hours a day, which is, you know, a third of my day. I think that you need to be somewhere where you are comfortable.
If you're not comfortable, you're not happy, you're not doing your job properly. If you don't like what you're doing, you're never going to do it properly anyways.
But it's definitely important for me to be happy at work. I think being happy is like the number one goal in life. Being comfortable is also important. You don't want to like feel uncomfortable in your workplace, like whether it's physical or like socially by who you're surrounded by.
I've had a couple of jobs where you kind of feel like you're just one in a million, like you're not, you know, people don't want to see you grow, or, you know, that kind of thing. I think that's big for me anyways. I always want to feel like people, like, because I'm putting so much time and energy into a job, I want the company that I'm working for to want to give something back to me. So I like to see companies that are like invested in the growth of their employees within the company.
I think well-being is the most important, but I also think well-being comes when you have stability, and that comes with money. Like, it's inevitable. I don't know that power is as important, because I think a lot of people confuse power with respect. I think that having respect at the workplace is way more important, because if you are in a position of power, as in a boss of some sort, or not, manager or whatever, having respect for your employees, they will respect you back. Like, you have to treat them as you would want to be treated. But I mean, money's important. You can't say that it isn't, because if you are doing what you love, you're a musician, but you're working, like you're playing on the streets, busking for your whole life, that's stressful. That's not, you're not taking care of yourself. So, I mean,
I feel like money and well-being go hand in hand to a certain extent.
I think power and money is not my top priority, but it's definitely a bonus. On top of being happy, being successful, like I want to be comfortable, and having money gives you a more comfortable living, so I think that's important. And power, I don't really need to have power over others, but it would be nice to be a role model for other people.
For now, where I'm at, it doesn't make a difference because I'm starting off. I know that I'm still young and I'm going to start at the bottom, but eventually it'll play a big role.
It's funny because money played a part in how I chose my career, but in a different way, because I feel like growing up, everyone that I told I wanted to be a dancer, I had to field like an army of accusations being like, you're not going to make any money, why do you want to do that, like that's such a short-term career. And being able to actually weigh out my financial pros and cons and realizing that like no matter how much or how little money I made, I still really wanted to pursue dance, kind of made me realize that it was the thing for me, because I don't think anything in my life would be as important for me not to consider my financial stability at all. And my love for dance kind of overcame that and was like, okay, like I know this is for me, because I'm willing to deal with all of these, I don't want to say like awful circumstances, but I guess less favorable living conditions, because I know I'm doing something that makes me feel really fulfilled.
Being happy at your job, being happy at your career is much more important than being rich, because you can be rich and miserable, or you can be happy and, you know, not as much money.
Power and money, it's a tricky question. I mean, obviously in a perfect world, making a ton of money and being very powerful and successful would be great, but realistically speaking, if I'm working like a bad job that I hate and I'm in a terrible working environment, but I'm making a ton of money, that won't make me happy. And it certainly won't make the people around me happy either. So, I mean, always strive for the best and for the most and for the absolute top. But, I mean, that should not be a deciding factor when it comes to choosing a job.